Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Preimesberger, editor of eWEEK. Welcome to eSpeaks. This is eSpeaks number 10. We're getting this series off the ground, and it's been a lot of fun getting it started. Our guest today is Aaron Upright, who's the CEO of ZenHub and one of the founders. Welcome, Aaron.
Thanks so much for having me, Chris. I really appreciate it.
This is going to be fun. Tell me about ZenHub. What's the business value that ZenHub brings?
Yeah, so ZenHub is a project and product management solution that's fully integrated into GitHub. The idea is that we help developers spend more time inside of GitHub and working on kind of meaningful work and less time actually updating and managing their projects. At the same time, we deliver really accurate updates for the business so that they can make decisions and use the insights that their teams are creating inside of GitHub to kind of plan and track their next set of projects.
And guess what? You can use this software for other kinds of projects, I bet, right?
Absolutely. It doesn't just have to be a software project. We actually see a lot of different use cases where teams are using ZenHub boards to actually organize the different work that they're doing or organize their different work streams. Some of our customers have teams in HR or procurement and legal that are actually using our boards to help plan and track the different projects that they have ongoing and visualize where they're going next with the project.
Project management is so important right now, especially in the situation that we're in right now in May of 2020, with so many people working from home now and not in an office, and it all has to be organized into a workflow that benefits the company.
Mm-hmm. And we spent a lot of time, talking with customers over the past couple of months as this situation has kind of unfolded. And we're finding that most teams are doing a pretty good job navigating this kind of new remote world. But one area in particular where we're hearing teams kind of really struggling is on driving alignment across the team and really making sure that what they're working on gets communicated outwards and upwards across the organization. And I think for a lot of teams that are kind of new to remote work, it's the working conditions that don't really create those spontaneous opportunities for conversations to happen. And even that mental adjustment that teams oftentimes have to do of thinking about, communication with remote team members and it being very different than communication typically is inside of an office. So we've learned a lot from customers over the past couple of months, just from talking to them and seeing how they're adapting their situations. And those are some of the things that have really come up as common threads in a lot of the conversations that we've had.
Yeah. Can you show us how it works, Aaron? I think you've got a demo for us.
Yeah, for sure. So based on some of those conversations that we've actually been having, we've actually brought 3 new enhancements into our road mapping project. We're really excited to launch. And those are all, like I said, aimed at helping teams to drive alignment even more quickly and work more efficiently. So I'll go ahead and share my screen here and talk a little bit about what we're actually going to be delivering here. So what you should be seeing here is a ZenHub roadmap. And this is actually a live look at our roadmap that we have at ZenHub and actually some of the projects that we're actively working on right now. And you can see this is a roadmap that actually kind of shows a very clear picture of where we're going as an organization. We can also see kind of the percentage completion of some of the different projects that we actually have ongoing. Here, for example, if I hover over this, I can see that we're 95% of the way through this particular project, which is a really exciting piece of information to have because all of these updates are being driven by what our team is actually working on inside of GitHub. Now, the changes that we're actually making today are really exciting, and we're giving teams the ability to, at a glance, understand and see projects that are at risk or maybe falling behind, to be able to take action on those a lot quicker than they typically would just working out of this view. So we've actually integrated a new setting here that will allow teams to actually sort their projects by color-coded statuses, where you can see if your project is red, that it represents it's at risk that it's likely trending late. If a project is yellow, you can see that it's at risk to be late. And if a project's green, you can see that it's on time. So I'll go ahead and turn that on, and you can see that the visual appearance of the roadmap actually changes to reflect the overall health of some of these projects. So even from just turning that on, I can see here that we have a couple projects that are now actually trending at risk, and one project that we're working on that's actually falling quite behind. And from that, I can actually click into this project and diagnose this even further. If I wanted to see exactly where this is actually coming from, it's possible to actually click into this view here to understand and to be able to see what's contributing to this project actually being late. Now, this is actually where the second enhancement comes in. We're giving teams not only the ability to color code their roadmap, but we're also giving them the capability to show when we think a predicted end date for this project is going to be based on this project actually being late. So if I go ahead and enable this, what you're actually going to see is this color-coded red box that comes out of this epic here. And from what I can tell here, this project is actually going to be delivered pretty substantially late if we don't take any action on this to actually reduce the scope or remove some of the work that we've actually assigned from this particular project. So I can see here, if we do nothing, this project is actually going to be delivered on January 9th. And because our goal here is to actually get this done by the end of Q3, we're going to have to actually reduce scope quite a bit to actually understand how we can get this back on track. So we made it really easy for teams to be able to click into that and take those actions. You can go all the way down from this roadmap view that we're showing here to clicking into the individual work item, and then understanding and being able to see all the different sub-issues and some tasks that are actually connected with that. And so from here, I can go in and I can start to potentially remove some of the issues that are part of this, see if we have any blockers on the team, and actually take those steps as a team lead to kind of working with the team to diagnose how we can get this particular project back on track.
Yeah, the analytics involved in this are just astounding. So much under the covers that people never think about or whatever, but it's all there working for you. And what I particularly like about the pipeline that you pointed out is that you can see the goal line. Like football, you got to know where the goal line is if you're sending your team or running your team toward the goal. Mm-hmm. And this really shows the goal line, and then you can bring the goal line closer if you work harder, etc. And
exactly.
It's all because of the analytics involved in the software.
Exactly. And all of this data, it's not arbitrary. It's not something that we're coming up with. It's all being driven by what your team is working on inside of GitHub. So the progress of your key projects, how far they are behind, reflects the actual work that your developers and your software engineering teams are actually doing inside of GitHub, the issues and the pull requests that they're actively working on. And so there's no kind of arbitrary factor here where we're deciding how late your project is going to be. It's actually motivated by exactly what your team is working on in the code base.
Yeah. What kinds of companies besides GitHub are using ZenHub right now?
We see companies in a ton of different sectors and different industries that are using it. Anything from massive, large-scale technology companies like Microsoft, Comcast, and SAP, all the way down to really forward-thinking and really innovative startups, and all kinds of companies in between that. We actually did a project as we were kind of going through a lot of, as we actually kind of saw a lot of uptick in trials last month, to really try to understand what types of customers that were using ZenHub, and if we could really pin that down to a specific company size or a specific industry or a specific vertical. And what we actually found is that really across the board, we have really great customer representation in almost all industries. And I think that really reflects the fact that all industries now are and all companies now, I think, are becoming software companies in some capacity. And even companies that you would consider to be more traditional are now adapting their businesses and actually evolving their business practices through technology and the software that we're building.
That's great. Aaron Upright, CEO of ZenHub, I want to thank you very much for being on our eSpeaks video interview today.
Thanks again so much for having me, Chris. Really appreciate it.
And for everybody out there watching, have a great rest of your eWEEK. Thanks for joining us on eWEEK eSpeaks. Go to eWEEK.com to hear more conversations with IT thought leaders.